Good morning, my beautiful mamas. Welcome to my mommy channel called the Simple Mommy Life channel, where I talk about cloth diapering, breastfeeding, mommy hacks, basically anything and everything related to childcare. So just to give you a little background story, I am a first-time mom to a beautiful 7-month-old baby girl. And today, sorry, you're gonna have to excuse my cat shadow in the background. And today I wanted to make a very short video on our experience with the Ferber Method in sleep training our baby girl. So my daughter is now 7 months old, and we actually started sleep training her right around the time that she turned 4 months. So she has been completely sleep trained for about 3 months now. And the type of sleep training method that we used was the Ferber Method. So how we knew that Ileana was ready to be sleep trained was, of course, her age. So usually they recommend to start sleep training between 4 and 6 months of age, and she was already pretty much sleeping very long stretches at night. They do recommend at least 5 to 6 hour stretches. So if your baby sleeps those stretches, that's a good sign that they may be ready to be sleep trained. In my case, Ileana was just waking up once a night, so she was doing stretches of 7, 8 hours sometimes, and just like the way that she was showing me that she was getting used to her bedtime routine, that sometimes she would actually fall asleep without any assistance. So those were some key factors of us deciding, okay, it's time to get this process started. So before Ileana was sleep trained, I used to put her down with, I had a couple of methods. I used to breastfeed her until she was like almost sleeping on my breast, or rock her to sleep. She used to use a sound machine. Sometimes we would put like a musical lullaby just for her to tune into. She was using a swaddle as well. So when we decided we wanted to sleep train, we pretty much started with ditching at least the methods, the habits that she had in order to fall asleep. So allowing her to fall asleep on the breast, that was something that we completely cut off. That was like the first thing. We no longer rocked her to sleep. And for the swaddle situation, I mean, Ileana was never a big fan of the swaddle. She was a baby that pretty much grew out the swaddle, like the sleeping position with arms down, all snugged, almost immediately after birth. But we didn't cut the swaddle out completely. We just used a transitional swaddle. The one that we actually used is the Love to Dream, where the baby has access to their hands. So they sleep with their hands upwards. So it will allow them to self-soothe or learn to self-soothe, which played a huge factor in our sleep training. And the other thing is, while we were sleep training, my daughter actually went through a pretty bad 4 to 6 month sleep regression. Her sleep regression lasted 5 weeks, and she was literally waking up like every hour to 2 hours. She was teething at the same time. So it was a lot of stuff like together. But I did actually make a video on how I survived and how I try to implement or continue with, like, you know, hold my guns with the sleep training while she was going through the sleep regression, which I will link in the description box below. So I definitely encourage you guys to check that out if you are thinking about sleep training and your baby is going through a sleep regression. It might give you some ideas, because you will have to get creative. It's not like, oh, this is the Ferber method, this is what you do, and you know, you follow it by the book. I mean, you do the Ferber method in your own way and adapt it to your baby. And if your baby is going through a sleep regression, if your baby's teething, if your baby is, not responding to the waiting 5 minutes, waiting 10 minutes, etc., you just have to adapt. Maybe lean more towards the cry it out, but still do the Ferber, like still check in on them, or play around with it. So back to the story on hand. So once we decided, okay, Ileana's ready, mom and dad are ready, let's start it. Still breastfed her before she slept, but I opened the light and I made sure that she was nice and awake so she had a good feed and that she was not tempted to fall asleep on my breast. Then I would, just spend her energy, rock her a little bit, but not to sleep until I saw that she was to the point where, she was asking for her bed. I'd put her down, give her a kiss goodnight, nothing more than that. Made sure that her diaper was changed, and just gave her a little tap, told her that mommy loved her, and completely left the room. Uh, she was in a swaddle, and we still used we were weaning her off the sound machine. So we were using it more in the beginning, but afterward, in the end of her sleep training process, we ended up removing that completely. Made sure that her room was dark, that everything was perfect for, like, everything was in good condition for her to fall asleep by herself. And not gonna lie, it was very hard. Like, one of the hardest things that I had yet to do as a parent. Like, sleep training is not easy. And if you think that you can do it, be aware that it gets very difficult hearing your baby cry. But to my surprise, actually, it was more my boyfriend that was not able to hear her cry. I guess it's kind of because he's not really used to hearing her cry since he's at work most of the day, and that's not something that his ears are used to. So he was definitely like super thrown off, sensitive, stressed out, crying himself, like watching the baby on the monitor like a hawk, and literally like counting the minutes to um, the time that it was to walk into her room and reassure her. But yeah, he definitely didn't take it well. For myself, I just tried to distract myself, do the dishes, just sit down, like not focus on something else than my baby crying, because I don't know if this is like trendy for all babies, but Ileana literally cried bloody murder. Like, it was horrible. When we didn't run into the bedroom at her first call, she would just increase the level, increase the intensity of crying. She was awful. But we went through it and we got through it, and it was not easy. But one tip that I can share with you guys, if you're that kind of parent that can't hear their baby cry, like myself and my boyfriend, just try to keep yourself distracted, because the 5 minutes literally does feel like half an hour. And you are going to feel yourself stressed out, and you might even take it on your partner because you can't hear the baby cry, and it's just this huge swirl of emotions. But that's one thing that you're gonna have to deal with, and stick to your guns and really just, your baby is not in any danger. If your baby is fed and she's changed and there's no other, she doesn't have a fever, or sorry, and there's no other reason for the baby to cry, just let them do their thing. Wait the 5 minutes. Keep at it. Keep at it. It's not a given. A baby doesn't know that he or she is being sleep trained. A baby doesn't know how to fall asleep. They have to learn to self-soothe. So just be patient. And crying is not easy, and it does get really difficult to hear your child cry, but you know that you're doing this for their good. Sorry, I kind of went on a tangent with that one. Another really important thing about implementing sleep training, if this isn't something that you already do with your baby, is to have a bedtime routine. Every night, the same thing, whether it be a bath, a book, a bottle, a little bit of playtime, just like 3 or 4 actions that you do all the time, every day, before bed, together in the same order, exactly the same every day, so it can signal your baby that it's bedtime, and it'll teach your baby. It will actually activate something in your baby's brain that will start making them feel tired for bedtime. So that's one thing that is very, 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 very important, that like I can't stress this enough. If you don't have a bedtime routine, and you just do different things all the time before the baby goes to sleep, it's going to be harder for them to learn, okay, it's bedtime, okay, I have to go to sleep. And it actually may prolong the process of sleep training. So that's just something that I needed to put out there for you guys. I definitely recommend a bedtime routine, and one that does not include rocking, breastfeeding to sleep. I mean, you have to feed your baby if you breastfeed before bed, but like don't make it more part of a routine. Don't make that action like an association to sleep. So that's just one thing. Like my bedtime routine was, she did start eating solids right around the time that we were sleep training. So like around 4.5, 5 months old, she was eating purees. So what I would do is I would feed her a puree, so she's nice and full, so she's happy. Then I would put her in the bath. We would do our bath routine, sing our songs. After the bath, it's massage and lotion time. After that, I would breastfeed her in the living room. And breastfeeding in the living room is not something that I do all the time. So that kind of like made it different for the baby to be, oh, we're breastfeeding in the living room, it must be bedtime. And then after she would breastfeed, I would just, let her play with the teether. Sometimes if I felt that she was already very tired at that stage, I would put her to sleep. If she did have some more energy, she would just play with the teether and I would read her a book. And that was pretty much her bedtime routine. And we did that every single night, and we continue to do that every single night. Usually with the Ferber method, they say that the baby is completely sleep trained, and this is like every baby is different. It's not to say that if your baby is not sleep trained in that time frame that it's not working. You know, every baby has their pace in doing anything: crawling, walking, um, talking, etc. So for us, it actually took I would say, for a completely sleep trained baby, about 4 weeks. And that's longer than what they say the Ferber method. Like they say the Ferber method is supposed to work between 1 and 3 weeks. And also, after your baby is sleep trained, like now my daughter is sleep trained for 3 months, there are going to be nights that she still wakes up and calls for you. Like, it's not to say that, oh, your baby is sleep trained, now you don't have to, wake up at night with her anymore. All right, guys, so that is all for my video on our experience with the Ferber method in sleep training our baby. So if you have any comments, concerns, questions, please leave them in the comments below. And of course, if you haven't already, check me out, the Simple Mommy Life channel. I have lots of videos on sleep regression, sleep training, napping, breastfeeding, cloth diapering, everything that, I just gonna do a video on this today. So yeah, if you haven't already, please subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when I put out a video, and I will see you guys all next time. Happy Saturday.